And we welcome you to Newsmax now. We begin tonight with some late breaking news. Another big shakeup inside the White House. Communications Director Hope Hicks will resign in the next couple of weeks. Hicks testified before the House Intelligence Committee yesterday and acknowledged that she told, quote, white lies in the service of the president, although not lying about Russia. Now, this timing of this may be coincidence, as it was reported that she has been considering this move for weeks. The news does come the day after, though, a trusted White House advisor, Jared Kushner, had his top secret security clearance revoked. And joining us now to discuss all that is political commentator and Newsmax contributor Michael Reagan. Michael, thanks for being here. We'll get to the latest on this fascinating meeting that the president held with the bipartisan group of senators in just a moment. But I wanted to get your reaction real quickly. Hope Hicks, who was not just a White House communications director, but also a longtime trusted advisor to Donald Trump in his private business as well. How big of a shakeup is this going to be for the president?
Well, it is a big shakeup because how do you replace somebody like Hope Hicks? I mean, everybody agrees she's one of the smartest ones in the room, but of course her boyfriend's gone, and now she's testifying, and it's time to get her life back, if you will, and she's only going to be able to get that back by leaving 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue instead of staying at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Like she said, she tells little white lies. With the way the President of the United States seems to be on the attack sometimes it might be best to tell him white lies so you don't see him go off the page and have a Twitter storm.
Yeah, I mean, white lies is one way to describe it. Other people call it spin. Some call it a half-truth, but it happens all the time in politics. She's certainly not alone. But what about 2020? Do you see Hope Hicks and Donald Trump reuniting on the campaign trail for 2020?
It doesn't make a difference. I mean, she's not running for anything. She may come back in. She may not come back in. But Donald Trump in 2020 is all about Donald Trump. If you haven't noticed, it's always about Donald Trump. He's not going to worry about Hope Hicks. He's not going to worry about you. He's not going to worry about me. He's going to talk about what he wants to do about making America great again. And that's where people will be zeroed into. They're not going to be zeroed into, gosh, is Hope Hicks back? Is anyone back the fired? That's not going to be the issue of 2020.
All right. Well, we'll take your word on that one. Let's move on. I want to talk about another subject here that's become all too familiar to us these days, and that's keeping kids safe in school. Now, just a little while ago, President Trump wrapped up this fascinating meeting with a bipartisan group of lawmakers. They discussed all kinds of solutions, some of them old, some of them new, some of them coming from new voices, with the goal, of course, of ending gun violence in school. Take a listen to the president.
You've got to have defense, too. You can't just be sitting ducks. And that's exactly what we've allowed people in these buildings and schools to be. We have to confront mental health. There's never been a case that I've ever seen, I'm sure everybody would feel the same, where mental health was so obviously 39 different red flags. I mean, everybody was seeing them. I'm a big fan of the NRA, but I had lunch with them, with Wayne and Chris and David, on Sunday, and said, it's time. We got to stop this nonsense. It's time.
Well, during the meeting, the president also said he was going to ban those controversial bump stocks via executive order. He also accused Pat Toomey, the Republican senator from Pennsylvania, of being afraid of the NRA, even though Pat Toomey took a lot of heat from the NRA for the Toomey Manchin bill. And he also told Dianne Feinstein they should throw in the assault weapons ban, and with some of the other bills we're talking about. He also mentioned, too, talking about this universal background, or the universal reciprocal concealed carry bill that Republicans want to get passed, that they'll never get it through. So this is kind of the beauty of Donald Trump, right, Michael? Taking some of these non-traditional stances on these issues, at least in these meetings, opening up the conversation.
Well, what it shows is leadership, and it's unfortunate it all gets stepped on by Hope Hicks and Jeff Sessions and all of those things, because it was a great day for the President of the United States in showing leadership. Listen, none of us have ever seen this kind of leadership before. We've never seen the White House open to these discussions with all these different groups where we can be involved through the media. So I think it's terrific to see the negotiation. I think it's terrific to see what he is doing. Will something come out of it? We don't know. But when you get to mental health, there's an issue there, too. Because if you've got a child who's under 18 and a parent is told by the school teacher, I think your child needs to see a psychological person. Most parents go, My child's just fine, thank you very much. And it never happens. So you've got a whole lot of issues within that issue to certify someone as not mentally capable of owning a firearm.
The president also got a lot of attention. He mentioned the fact that, he's talking about the mental health issue, and he was mentioning the fact that he's frustrated about sometimes it just takes too long to go through the legal process. He says, let's take the guns first, let's do due process later. People who know Trump probably knows what he meant, but still that concerned a lot of folks as well. There's a new study, too, I want to talk about, Michael, out of North.
Wait a minute. That should concern a lot of folks right now. Because what do? Pick up the phone and say, my next door neighbor is a nutcase? And they just take his guns. Then he goes to court to find out he's really not a nutcase. The nutcase was the person who called 911.
Well, I say, it concerned a lot of people, Michael, because, these types of meetings, just like what happened with the DACA situation, it's great because the president gets to float a lot of ideas. I don't know if anything is going to come of it. I don't think.
No, it's great to see it. Great to see it.
Yeah, great to see it. I don't think we're going to lose our due process to own guns based on this meeting. That's why I say, kind of tamp down a little bit some of the concerns. But there is an important study that we wanted to point to from Northeastern University. It says that U.S. schools are actually safer today than they were in the early 1990s. Their research says that more children are killed annually from pool drownings or bicycle accidents, and that in the past 25 years, about 10 students per year have been killed by gunfire at schools. 10, of course, is too many, no doubt, but of course, school safety is of great importance. But how do you view this study in terms of everything we're talking about? Because if you listen to the media, you'd think that schools are more dangerous today than they were in 1990, but this study proves otherwise.
Yeah, but you put a child on a bike, and I have children, you have children, you put them on a bike, it's smart to put a helmet on them. Most states do not have helmet laws for those children you, in fact, put on bikes. A lot of people, like here in California, have pools. It's smart to give your child lessons on how to swim, as our granddaughter last year received, and she's just turning 2. These are the smart things to do. The other one is all about the Second Amendment rights and the right to own a weapon. And when you send a child to school, you hope and you pray that they're going to be safe in school. And so what's coming up now is, how do you now protect the child in school like you would protect a child on a bike, like you would protect a child taking a swim lesson, and not step all over the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States?